Welcome to another episode of the Break the Limits podcast. I'm Daryl. I'm the founder of Break the Limits. We help financial advisors to break their limits so that they can achieve more income and impact for themselves. Right? So that is the exact reason why I'm doing this podcast, to interview achievers, to understand their story so that their story can inspire you to get your unique breakthrough. And today we have our special guest. His name is Shaun Wong. He's a financial advisor from AC.
Yeah.
Right. He achieved MDRT, Jalek Awards, IDA 3 times, the past out of 4 years in his career, 3 times in his career. So, and he's currently a manager for 6 associates. And without further ado, I will get him to introduce himself to you guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Daryl, for inviting me to this podcast. I love to do content myself, and I think it's going to be an exciting day speaking with you. Yeah. So, as he mentioned, I'm currently a manager at Great Eastern Financial Advisors with 6 driven and promising associates. I think I would just call myself a hustler. People always call me.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So in this podcast, right, I want to really challenge, Shaun, to share with us a couple of topics that the audience can benefit from.
Yeah.
Number one, right, is the first breakthrough. How did Shaun achieve his first MDRT? And number 2, right, what's the behind the scenes challenges that he have to face, overcome, and in terms of like challenge himself to get the kind of success he's having today. And at the same time, I will also challenge him to share vulnerably, right? What are some limiting beliefs that you had at one point of time that probably the audience can resonate, and the solution to that as well?
Yeah.
And last pointer would be what are some exciting project that you're working on that you can share with the audience?
Yeah.
All right. Without further ado, let's get started with today's podcast.
Yeah.
So Shaun, I know you probably at least 2-3 years back, right? 2-3 years back.
Yeah.
And it was a very interesting incident, which in the next episode we will elaborate more.
Yeah.
Okay, how we get to know each other.
Yeah.
But I remember one very powerful story you shared with me. You see, I asked you previously, very briefly on a Zoom meeting. I asked, bro, how did you achieve your first MDRT?
Yeah.
And what do you say? The statement you say, I challenged myself. You say,
I can't remember, bro.
Okay. So he said this. I challenged myself by saying that if I don't achieve MDRT, I will suicide.
Oh, okay.
So let's dive into so that the audience can see what kind of thought process you had at the point of time when you said that the kind of statement you said.
Yeah, okay. So I think this thing about breakthrough is something that's very close to my heart. For those who don't know, I was a student advisor for 3 years. So when I joined the financial advisory industry, I actually, I actually wasn't invested in it to begin with. I was a student, and I thought this would be something that I could make a side income with. Right. And, it was simply a toolkit in my tool belt to hold a license, because everybody's got to buy their own insurance, got to buy their own investment, right? What more, just do it yourself.
Yep.
Right. So I think something happened along the way when I was in school.
Yeah.
This situation where I was supposed to go to this thing called NUS Overseas College. Supposed to go to Silicon Valley for 1 year to work and study, right, in Stanford U as well. So it's a very prestigious program, something I've been aiming for. But somehow COVID happened, right? So COVID happened and I was left with no modules. And they told me to do this program remotely in Singapore.
Yeah.
Right. And it was at that point of time where, for the first time in my life, I think my plan didn't go through. Yeah. So like some external circumstance caused me to have to adapt. Right. So I was thinking, I had no modules. Right. I just have this FA thing going on. Why not all into it?
Right. How old were you back then?
Oh, 22.
22.
I was 22. Yeah.
And you had the all-in mindset.
Yeah. I always had the all-in mindset.
Right.
Yeah. I always had the all-in mindset.
And share with us what made you say such statement, bold statement. Right. If I don't achieve MDRT, I suicide. What was going through your mind?
Yeah. So basically, it's because I have this plan, right? Of like, uni, year 1 I do this, year 2 I do this, year 3 I do this, right? And suddenly my plan is gone, right? So in my thought process is, if I don't achieve some kind of success in this industry that I'm joining, right, then I take this 6 months off to do this for what? Right? If you do anything, you got to do it with excellence.
Oh, beautiful.
Right? And so back then, MDRT is not about the award or the sort of accolade or social status that it comes with. It's not about proving myself to people, but it was almost like it's the core of my identity. Like if I do anything, I need to achieve a minimum standard. And my minimum standard was MDRT back then.
Beautiful. Yeah. And I can tell that like your core value is apart from the fact that your core value is truth, it sounds like another one is excellence. Right? And that's a representation of who you stand for.
Yeah.
So elaborate a little bit more, right? How did you create such a core value of excellence? When did that happen?
Wow, this I actually don't know, Daryl. Like but if you really want me to take it back, I think it's back when I'm a little kid, right? And I think I struggled a lot as a kid, very early on. I was someone who always listened to my parents, Okay, like I think from primary 1 to primary 3, everything my parents say, I just follow, right? And very obedient kid, right? Ideal kid. And sometime along the way, there's this story that I don't really share with many people, right? In primary 3, right, I had a math exam, where my teacher clearly told me like some steps on how to solve like all the questions, right? But my mom told me it's not like that. Say, listen to mommy know better, right?
Yeah.
and then I followed her. I keep telling her, no, my teacher says like, she didn't know, right? So I followed her, and that was the first math exam, right? Which I got 99 marks. Okay, so for anyone listening out there, you're like, oh, 99 marks, very good. But okay, to me back then, I always get full marks.
Yeah.
So that was the first time to me, I stopped being perfect. Right? And back then I was a perfectionist, right? And it sort of broke my mindset into thinking that actually, my parents might not be correct. The world might not be correct, right? And I need to find this sort of standard of excellence myself, right? So it went from like an external locus of control to internal locus of control. And I might not have known it then, but I think that has influenced me all the way.
Mad respect, bro.
in life, yeah.
Yeah, that's the exact story that he shared with me previously 2 years back. Yeah. Until today, I can remember that story, you see. Because it was primary 3 means how old? 9 years old. 9 years old, little kid created that kind of belief that created this version of him today. And that's insane, that belief was so powerful.
Yes.
Right? So let's since you're on that story, right, share with the audience, right? How did the core value of truth stem from that incident actually?
Yeah, so I think truth came from there as well. Back then, right, the truth is who's correct, right? Do my parents have the standard of truth? Do my teachers have the standard of truth, or do I have the standard of truth? Right, later on in life, also questions like is does religion have, so many things came to light, and I think I've always been hyper logical in dealing with my problems. It's a good thing and a bad thing as well, right? So in every time I face an issue, I want to find the objective truth, so to speak, so that I'm able to make the right decision, right? And I think that's how it stemmed about, right? And since then, I've always asked myself, what is the meaning of life? What's the meaning of life?
Right.
What's the meaning of life, right? And I think many of us ask this question, and usually, people subscribe their own meaning, or maybe they chase purpose, or they chase something. I think everybody has their own meaning, but for me, fundamentally, I realized it was just understanding, right? Understanding the way the world works, understanding how things work, and just by having this understanding of fundamental rules, it's able to get me quite far.
Elaborate a little bit more on that. What do you mean by fundamental rules?
Fundamental rules. I'll give you an example since I'm a financial advisor.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so naturally, we are all, in Singapore, we are all stuck in this like rat race, or need to, go through this standard life kind of thing, right? And so one could respond in two ways, right? One way is we just subscribe to the rat race and we just do what we need to do, and then, get married, settle down, and then die. Right? That's not the life I want.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, I was obsessed with finding out the truth, right, about how money works.
All right.
Right? That was one of the first truths I was obsessed with, right? How is it that some people are making shit ton of money, right, in the stock market, in crypto, right? But then I can lose money. How is it that I am studying finance, I'm studying economics, but I didn't understand any of that, right? And so it was the pursuit of truth, like, that got me further.
Yeah.
Because I see some of my peers who maybe do finance full time, right? Once they understand economics, they understand finance, they invest, they still lose money, right? They don't tell you one, right? But then they go into their banking job, their the high paying job, and then they stop there.
Yeah.
They're happy. Yeah. They don't seek further because they got the status that they really want already. And because what they were searching for is status, it's not truth. Right? But I'm still searching for truth. Even if I get status, it's not enough. Right? So that got me further, right? That's when I start to look at psychology, neuroscience, right? Human behavior, behavioral finance, right? How do humans make decisions when it comes to money, buying, stock market, gambling, speculation, right? And it was only when I was able to understand that and use my computer science degree, right, to quantify that. It was then I started to find some truth in how to make money in, let's say, the crypto market.
It's amazing, bro. Right? Yeah. This is insane. Like every time I preach about finding purpose, creating a purpose, creating a why. But it sounds like, for you, the core value of truth and excellence stamp out this purpose in you, which fuels you in this career as well.
Yes.
Right? Because most advisors get 4 paper and you say, hey, I help you manage your finance. But what I'm hearing from you is that you go beyond that.
Yes.
Beyond what the industry needs of you. And you really want to study how human being works. With the thought process, the finance aspect, the market, the economy. And share with us a little bit more, right? Besides that, right, was it because of the environment that shaped you, because your directors say that about you, or was it from an internal standpoint? What was going on?
Well, this is very hard to quantify. I would say the past 4 years in this industry, I have mellowed out. Okay. So it's not been like this core truth thing got stronger. It mellowed
mellowed down, balanced.
And my director and my leaders and all that are contributing to that.
Right.
Because it's like, I'll describe it as a fire.
True.
You know, fire, back then my fire is like, like
hard to
blazing.
contain.
So when, you know, like forest fire, sometimes it burns and then after it dies out, it burns and so what I've learned is how to fan the flame slowly.
Right, so it's sustainable.
Yeah, to make it sustainable. Right, but if you want to talk before that, I think a lot of it is internal.
Right.
It's really internal. I've always had this need to be more. Yeah, and to be right. Yeah, and I don't know, maybe I need to speak to a therapist about this. I don't have to break me down. But I do think that my childhood was a subject of, because I didn't have an easy childhood. Okay, not to say my parents are not good parents, they're amazing parents, but we fought a lot. Right, and there were many times, you know, like 5 years old, even even 9 years old like that, I run out of the house.
Wow.
I stay outside. Yeah. Right, and I have a sister, right? So there's a good like sort of control comparison. Correct. My sister, wherever
obedient.
No, she's not. But as in like how she reacts to my parents is very different to how I react.
Right.
Okay, so like I would imagine a normal kid when their parents scold them, right? They rebel. That's it.
True.
Right? It won't be like me one.
Yeah.
If you don't listen to me, I commit suicide.
Serious, like you said that.
No, it's like the extent,
extreme lah, very extreme.
I'm a very extreme person. Right? Like the extent to which I would go, right? Just to, back then, immature ma.
Yeah.
Argue about, let's say, cannot sit on that chair. I want to sit.
Yeah.
I also, you want to win? I commit suicide. You know, that kind of thing. Like I'm willing to die to win this argument.
Yeah.
So I think if you were to break it down to psychology, right?
Nature.
Tara, my nature is that I'm highly disagreeable.
Right.
I am highly disagreeable.
Right. And it takes a lot of maturity, which is what you mentioned, right? The environment, your directors, your leaders, your mentors have kind of like contributed to that maturity.
Yeah.
When to bring that truth out, that fire out in you.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And the reason why I asked that question, right, was because you can tell that like that power that you possess, right? The fight towards truth and excellence is something because you're aware of.
Yes.
But many other advisors or even human beings out there, they might not be aware of the strengths. They might not know. So what is one thing you can share with them to inspire them to get more awareness about their truth, their strength? What would that be?
Yeah. Okay. So I think first and foremost, you need to have an open mind. Yeah. I think that's the most important part. For me, right, I had external factors force me to grow. Right. But if you're someone who's had a comfortable life, right, who has never needed to view your strengths and weaknesses because of problems, it's going to be very difficult for you to find that truth. So for these people, I got 2 suggestions, right? Because I'm managing associates as well right now. So number 1 is to borrow conviction, borrow truth.
I love that.
Yeah. So you might not have such experiences yourself, but you can hear the experiences of others. You might be inspired by others, right? You might not have the conviction now, but you can derive your conviction and ride the positive wave of other people, right? Just surround yourself with people like that, and maybe one day your heart will change as well.
Yeah.
Right. The second thing is really to just, if you don't have anyone around like that, is to maintain an open mind, right? And take small actionable steps that would nudge you in the right direction, right? For example, like early on when I met you about this, break the limits.
Yes.
Right. I think something that you're doing is you're able to sieve that out from people, right? So just having an open mind, not being afraid to invest in yourself, right? And speaking to people who are even coaches who are able to derive that from you could put you in a position which is very advantageous for your self-awareness. Yeah.
Beautiful. So number 1 is the having an open mind.
Correct.
Right? You mentioned borrow
Number 1
conviction.
is borrowing conviction. Number 2 is having open mind.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's what I'm doing now. I'm borrowing your conviction.
Yeah.
So I want to ask the next question, because just now we're at a very macro perspective, about the big idea, how you become this version so extreme.
Yeah.
Share with them, right? After you make that bold statement, if I don't achieve MDRT, I suicide. What was the nitty-gritty, the roadmap, the tangible steps, right, that helped you achieve it?
Okay. So I can share with you because my story is quite amazing, right? And up to today, I still I sometimes don't believe it. Okay. So when I pledged MDRT, it was already July. Okay, it's really July, so I had 5 to 6 months left, right? And by the end of July, right, when I put that Instagram post to everybody, my FYC, first year commission, we call it, was only about 8,000. Okay, so that means I wasn't even like I was only like maybe 10%, and I only had 5 months, right? Because I just started out, right? So for me back then, a lot of faith, okay, a lot of trusting the process, a lot of trust in my mentors, and because I was so grounded in truth, I already knew, right, that the success won't come so fast, right? So I gave myself 6 months to a year to see the results, right? So if you're an advisor who's out there who's still struggling with MDRT, right, you need to trust the process, but you need to trust the right process. If the environment is good, trust the process. If the environment is not good, you need to figure that out.
Yeah.
Right? And so what I basically did was I went for maybe, I think, 30 to 40 appointments per week. And this is opening appointments. Okay, this is not like, I proposal, I close, or I social appointment. It's not counted. So that means in one month, per month. In one month, I could go about 60 appointments in total. Right. So I was working at a 2 appointment per day kind of thing.
So 15 per week or what?
Correct.
10 to 15 per week.
Correct. And work 6 to 7 days a week.
Right.
That was the extent I was going.
Yep.
And honestly, in October, November, my FYC never really jumped.
Serious?
I was about 12K only.
Yeah.
Okay. And back then I told my director, I told my manager, I told all my colleagues, I said, maybe my truth was wrong. Maybe I'm delusional.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe all that kind of stuff. Right. But the fact of the matter is I did the steps right.
Yep.
I just lost faith.
Yep.
Right. And so this is an example of boring conviction. One of my colleagues called Kai Feng, he came up to me and he showed me an incident where it was similar as well. In the last month of December, 40K come in. That kind.
Wow. Okay.
Then MDRT, right? He told me to trust the process, trust the faith, right? And I did, right? And it was a planting season and harvesting season. And I would say November and December was a harvesting season for me. Everybody was on holiday, which was the main reason why I wasn't closing, because they were busy, right? So in November and December, I just closed every day. Every day I just got assigned close case only.
Wow.
Right? And it's like 1 month, like 40K FYC come in that kind. Yeah. And then I achieved my MDRT.
Beautiful. And then let's go even to the nitty-gritty micro details, right? When you were doing 30, 60 appointments a month, right?
Yeah.
Most advisors probably have shame in their occupation, fear of judgment, fear of rejection, limiting beliefs, holding them back.
Yeah.
What was 1 or 2 challenges that you faced at that point of time? And how do you overcome them?
Okay, so I would say before I even started, I had those challenges already. So if you start, you got to start right.
Yep.
Okay, so a lot of advisors start without even overcoming the weaknesses and challenges or things that could potentially cause them to fail, right? So one of the things is stigma. Okay, if today you are a financial advisor and you're afraid to be a financial advisor, please you got to fix that first. It's super pressing. If you are not even confident to present yourself out there for who you truly are, you cannot be genuine. It's very hard for you to convince anybody to be a client.
So true.
Yeah, right? Most of them turn to co-market. Co-market is people they don't
buy
know.
leads.
Correct. And I'm not saying that co-market cannot, right? But they are hoping that, I don't want to talk to my friends because I thought co-market. It's not solving the problem.
Yeah.
You're applying some kind of aloe vera on
Instead
a
of surgery.
Yes, correct. Maybe you close some here and there, but that's not sustainable, right? So how I overcame that was to embrace it. And I had a lot of fear, I tell you.
Yes.
I had so much fear. How I embrace it? I post on Instagram. I post on Instagram, tell everybody, hey, I'm a financial advisor. Right? It's a shock to everybody. Holy crap, Shaun is an advisor. Hey, you traitor. I thought you were going to do startup, become Elon Musk that kind. I dealt with it. I dealt with the consequence. I always say this thing, I say in my own podcast as well, right? Is that people are afraid of success. Right? I saw that if I did this, it will get me where I want to go. Because I saw the business opportunity.
Yes.
What was stopping me? What was stopping me was my internal fear of embracing the path to this.
Yes.
What did I do? I embraced it.
Put yourself out there.
Correct. I embraced it. And I didn't do it alone. Okay. I had mentors who were there to ground me and to give me the courage to do so. Right. And when I embrace the consequences, you realize actually you feel better.
Yeah. Not that bad after all.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Right.
Beautiful.
I mean, it's always better to be yourself, be happy as yourself, right? And face some naysayers, haters, than to not be yourself and be unhappy every day.
Right.
Yeah, your productivity will fall. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing from you is that the biggest one at that starting point, right, was the stigma in the occupation.
Correct.
Instead of running away, shying away, secret agent, you decided to be loud and proud about it.
Correct.
Let me just tell the world, embrace it. You might like me, fine.
Correct.
You don't like me, also fine.
Correct.
And that really helped you to, fly in terms of career.
Correct.
What other internal challenge or maybe a second and third one, right, that you're facing at the point of time, how do you overcome them? If you can trace back 4 years ago.
Yeah, I have to think back, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I can tell you. Rejection.
Okay,
rejection. So that's an ongoing thing.
Yes.
Right. So I think going into sales, I knew I'll be rejected a lot. And I always think I'm logical, right?
Yeah.
Rejected. I don't care. Right? You lose, right? That's my mentality, right?
Yeah.
But then like after 1 rejection, 2 rejection, 3 rejection, 4 rejection, 5 rejection, 7 rejection, 10 rejection. Wow. I feel like shit, bro.
Yeah.
Right. Even for someone like me, I'll be like, is it something wrong with me?
Yeah.
This is my close friend.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, the first people that I reached out to, right, was my girlfriend then, my closest friend then, my best friend, my family, all reject me.
Wow.
Then I think like, hey, walao, if my...
Where's the truth now?
Yes, right. If all these people reject me, then how?
Yeah.
Right? And honestly, I identified that the problem is not to do with me. Right? The problem was not me, the problem was not my knowledge, not my skill set. Back then, the problem was because it's just nice these people, like are not available.
Yeah.
Or like they're not in a position. Wrong timing.
Yes.
Yeah. And so slowly along the way, after I got a big enough sample size, this is incredibly important to all advisors out there. You need a sample size before you come up to conclusions.
I love that.
Right? Okay, you cannot meet 10 people and say, this is my sample size.
Yes.
You need at least 30 or 100. 100 best.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I just manage my emotions.
Yes.
Right? I learned how to dissociate business rejection and personal rejection.
Yep.
Right? And then I just went ahead and get more sample size.
Beautiful.
Right? And then once the number was large enough, I realized it's actually quite true to what I projected. Like maybe like a 33% closing ratio for someone who's starting out as a student.
That's okay.
Yeah. Right? So that was, and it turned out like that.
Understood.
Right? And so all the other maybe 77% that reject me, actually they never reject me. And that's what I learned because they became my clients later, 2 years later, 3 years later, 4 years later.
Now it's just not right time.
Precisely.
Yeah, beautiful. So I just want to sum up for the audience to hear first, because just now Shaun just dropped a very powerful gem.
Yeah.
He mentioned this one thing, must have sample size before coming out with a conclusion. Many times conclusion can come as empowering belief or disempowering belief. When you say things like, it's all about me, maybe my closing skill not good,
Yes.
that's too quick for you to judge yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So what he mentioned is that try more, taste more, have more larger evidence database before coming out to a conclusion that harms you or helps you. That's amazing. And share with us, right? Just now you mentioned the first one is the stigma in the occupation. Number 2 is rejection. Share with us, is there a third challenge that probably most advisors out there might have experienced or encountered that you personally gone through it, overcome it?
Okay. I personally do not have this challenge, but I can share with you a challenge that I'm seeing and facing now, maybe in some of my managing a team.
Sure.
Right? I think this is one of the most common one.
Yeah.
Is that they're lazy.
Okay. Elaborate.
Not disciplined. Okay. So we're in self-employed, right? Self-employed environment. And I think a lot of people still, they understand that this is self-employed, but their brain haven't really processed or understood. Yes. So I say a lot of people in this industry, advisors, right? They are not self-employed. They are unemployed. Okay, because their day-to-day activity consists of going scrolling at home, watch Netflix, go to office at maybe 3 p.m, work for 2 hours, chit-chat, talk, go back home. I work for the day.
Yeah.
And then the whole year just passes.
Very true.
Right? And in my head, I'm thinking like, how can you do that?
Yeah.
Right? How can you do that? And so, you got to be very honest yourself as an advisor out there today, okay? Did you choose this industry, right? Because you can get an excuse to, not work so hard.
Yeah.
If that's the reason, right, you're in a very wrong industry because you need to work extremely hard here.
Agree.
Right? The bad thing is there is an illusion, right, that we see all the directors, they're like, they can work 5 months a year or 6 months a year and then
Correct.
they're good.
Yeah.
We see that and we think we can be like that.
True.
But we haven't earned money yet. We never see all the hard work that they put in.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, correct. And so there's no way we can be like that. They work like mad and you have to work like mad now in order to enjoy that life.
Agree.
But a lot of them come in, they feel like they can enjoy their life already. I'm self-employed. Self-employed, what? Don't tell me what I can choose when I want to do and I know when I want to do.
True.
Cannot one.
And what would the one solution that you have in mind for them? If you have one. It's so stressed.
If I have a solution to this, I won't be facing problem like this now already. But,
Right.
But I guess I think I'm learning as a leader.
Sure.
Right. And I know not everybody can be like me, right? Self-motivated. Some people need external motivation.
Agree.
Right. And so that's what I'm trying to do is to build external kind of motivational factors, right? That can keep people like this one, not naturally like hustlers, right, in check. Right. So some degree of micromanagement is required for these kind of people.
Agree.
Right. So what do you need? You need a very strong culture.
Yep.
Right. Like hype culture, they love to be there and all that kind of stuff. People needs to come to office, there needs to be like calling nights and stuff like that, right? So they need you need to really create the environment for them to sort of suck off lah, right?
Understood.
But aside from that, right, if they themselves cannot have that decision to do something about it, right? We can create many options. Nothing can happen.
Agree.
Yeah.
It must come from self.
Correct.
Right? Beautifully said.
Yeah.
And I want to touch on the factor that you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of advisors will just admit themselves that I'm lazy.
Yeah.
I procrastinate.
Yeah.
And they accept that.
Yeah.
I think the fact that the belief system, right, accept losing, right, that itself says a lot about them.
Yeah.
Right? On the flip side, if let's say you really want to succeed, but you like whatever Shaun experienced previously, you have fears, you have limiting beliefs, and you truly still want to overcome, there's still hope, no? Right? The greatest fear, like what Shaun mentioned, is the fact that you don't want to help yourself. So if you are an advisor right now watching this, really ask yourself, what kind of pain, like what Shaun mentioned, what Shaun went through, right? What kind of pain have you gone through in the past that can fuel you so that you want to create a better future for yourself? I think that would be the best thing that I can share with you to inspire you to move towards the success that Shaun is experiencing today.
I think for a lot of these people, they have the fact that they can say that, right? Because I don't believe anybody like to lose.
I also agree.
I don't believe anybody say I am lazy.
Yes.
Nobody likes that. And I think fundamentally the reason why they can say that in their job, right, is because their identity is dissociated from the job. Okay, so it boils down to the same problem, right? So if let's say you don't even like today, right? I make my work so like outstanding, right? Because it's a reflection of my character. It's a reflection of my brand. It's a reflection of who I am, right? But if let's say you haven't embraced the role of financial advisor, right? You haven't embraced your title. It's like the same mentality as a student. Like I'd rather not study because if I don't study,
you cannot fault me.
You cannot fault me, right? So. But then if I study, the truth might come to me like actually my grading is not A, is B.
Yeah.
Right? So for these people, right, I would say really you need to start facing facts.
Yeah.
Right? You need to face reality in that whether you choose to study or not study is also a reflection of who
yourself.
You are. Correct? And you gotta stop dissociating from the fact that if I don't put in effort, means
you cannot fault me.
Because that's not true.
And I think that two things came into my mind. Number one is deniers, and the number two is escapism.
Yes.
Escapism here. You're having a denier situation or escapism, which is causing you harm in your life, in your business as well.
Yeah.
So hopefully this conversation that I'm having with Shaun really spark something in you, say that enough is enough.
Yeah.
And I think that on this point, right, one emotion is damn strong. The feeling of disgust.
Yeah.
I want those listeners and audience listening to this right now, right? Go and trace back when was one time, for example, it could be your weight, it could be your productivity.
Yeah.
Something that truly disgusts you might bring you the pain. That's where the manager's mentor environment can then pull you to another place.
Yeah.
Right? If not, nowhere else, even podcasts like this cannot help you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And which brings me to the next question that I want to ask you, Shaun. Share with us a little bit more, right? What are some exciting projects that you are currently working towards? Because right now, you're already 4 years of advisor.
Yeah.
Right? What's next for you?
Yeah. So, I studied computer science in NUS, right? So I always very excited one of my visions in this industry is to build an agency that is not just good financial advisors, right? But also people who are tech savvy, who know how to take the new wave of, robot advisors, hybrid advisors within their advisory approach and systems, right? So one thing I'm working on now, which I'm quite excited by is, I'm sure everybody knows ChatGPT, right? So I'm facing some issues in scaling when I'm training now. I'm doing everything myself, right? So I want to use tech to help me. And so what I'm doing is basically coming up with like a sort of like a ChatGPT, right? Where I feed all the sort of product information and the PDFs, all that kind of stuff to this sort of system, right? And then it's able to answer questions like a teacher to my associates. Yeah, so only to my associates. Only to my associates.
Not the clients.
No, not the client. The client, you can access kind of information is cannot. Internal circulation. Right? Yeah, but basically imagine if you have a ChatGPT, right? Mentor for FA.
Right.
So it's like, what's the difference between this product and this product?
Automated. Scalability is endless.
Correct. And it's very fast because I realized that what I can do is I can provide mentorship, coaching, all that kind of stuff, right? But sometimes my advisors may be like, hey, Shaun, I need to know this. I'm not there. Maybe I'm in an appointment. They can just ask the,
On demand support that you want to provide to your guys.
Correct.
ChatGPT Shaun.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm working on now.
Right. And share with us, you mentioned that, you have 6 associates right now, right?
Yeah.
What's your expansion plan going to look like? And what kind of guys are you looking for actually?
What's my expansion plan?
Yeah, and what kind of guys you're looking for?
Okay, let me answer the second question first. Okay, so what kind of guys I'm looking for? When I joined, right, I only wanted to recruit elites. To me, I want to recruit people like me. But honestly, right, now that I've done leadership for quite some time in this industry, I realize actually there is no particular kind of personality type that I'm looking for, right? But I can tell you what are red flags that I don't look for, right? In fact, because I believe that everybody has a chance to do extremely well in this industry. And I've learned that from my first associate who, in my opinion back then, I would think that in all regard, right, like
this guy failed.
Cannot make it one.
Yeah.
Right. But I chose to just give him my all. He make it there. And he's one of my strongest associate now.
I think the one that recently posted.
Correct. So I on that regard, right, I believe everybody can do well in industry. Right. And if anybody want to join, I will give you a chance. But one thing I cannot stand is unethical.
Unethical.
So if you got ethics issue, right, I cannot.
Yeah, because clashes with his core value of truth.
Correct.
Yeah.
So core value must align lah. Okay, expansion plan. I plan to keep recruiting and growing my team, right? Hopefully to become a director by the time I'm 30 years old lah. So I give myself a 4-year.
How old are you now? 26.
I'm 26. Yeah.
Youngest director? You want to fight that?
No lah, not important to me.
Beautiful.
Yeah, not important to me.
Right. So share with the audience, right? What's one thing that you want to inspire those people who are currently on the fence? Probably they are facing some challenges, hurdles, stuck in their career, right? The financial advisors. What can you share with them to inspire them to get to their first MDRT or maybe the consistent MDRTs or even COT even?
I always remind myself of this. It's called the next level concept. Okay, I don't know if anybody out there has heard of it before. I learned it from another speaker. Right, in Singapore, right, when we are born, all the way until primary school, secondary school, we move on to the next level just by being mediocre. You think about it, in primary school, you pass PSLE, you go to the next level. Secondary school, pass, next level, right? Even in uni, you pass, you go to the next level. But when is the first time in your life, right, where you're the next level is not guaranteed, where being mediocre will cause you to stay where you are and no longer go to the next level after you graduate when you're working. Because when you're working, if you remain mediocre, you will stay where you are. It's very hard for you to go next level.
True.
Okay, you need to be tip top and right at the top, right, to keep progressing. And so be honest with yourself, right? All those out there, right? Are you still adopting this mediocre next level mindset, right? Because if you are, you need to remember that this is the first time in your life where you can make decisions yourself, right? And if you keep that same mindset, all the things that you thought you were going to do, all the dreams that you thought you would achieve, you'll just be like everyone else.
Well said. Yeah. Giving me goosebumps, bro. Beautiful. And for those of you who's really enjoyed this entire podcast that I have with Shaun, where can they find you at, Shaun?
You can find me on Instagram at SWBest, right? I post content as well, right? You can also call me if you want, 97280022. No problem, right? I always love to debate with people. If you have not happy with anything I say, can let me know also. We can do a discussion.
That's what I like about him. He don't take it personally. He really is a very confrontational person, want to find the absolute truth.
Yeah.
And with that, we come to the end of this podcast.
Yeah.
And if you like it, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right. Thanks, Daryl.
Thank you.